All right, what's up, fellas? Well, today we're going to do a little all-weather floor mat dress-up with Koch-Chemie Gummifix, right? So this stuff here, backstory real quick. A couple of months ago, I did a video on cleaning your interior to improve your driving experience. So check that out if you haven't already. But basically, it was like a mid to intermediate level detail of my interior, just to kind of reset it, get it back to, you know, get it looking nice again and everything. And everything I did in that video was pretty much standard fare for what I typically do, except the floor mat. So the one thing that I tried a little bit differently was I wanted to put some kind of a topper or finish the floor mats, because usually I just clean them up and put them back in the car and they look super dull, but who cares because they're just all-weather floor mats. But this time I wanted to try to dress them up a little bit. So I tried using what I typically use on my tires and engine bay, which is Meguiar's Hyperdressing D170 diluted 4:1, right? So it looked great. It's exactly what I was looking for on the floor mats. However, as predicted, it made them kind of slippery. I got that nice black sheen that I wanted, that I usually get in the engine bay on the rubber and plastics, but they were slippery. Not terribly so, but any level of slipperiness on your floor mats is not good. So anyway, some guy came along, saw that video and said, hey, you should try Koch-Chemie Gummifix because you get the same look, but without the slipperiness, which I'm thinking awesome because I love Koch-Chemie stuff. And yeah, that's what I wanted out of it. So anyway, picked up a bottle and we're gonna try that today. I'm doing it live, haven't tried this stuff before. Floor mats, I gotta get them out, but they are due for another cleaning. So we're gonna clean them up, put the stuff on, and also figure out what is the best applicator to use to apply this stuff, but we'll get to that later. Let's get the floor mats out, clean them up, and then we'll get to the Gummifix. All right, so let's get set up here. Guys, I gotta say, if you were thinking about doing the whole wall-mounted pressure washer thing, I highly, highly encourage it. Had the system for about 4 months now. Absolutely love it. All right, now real quick, when it comes to cleaning the all-weather floor mats, now I used to use P&S Express Interior Cleaner. It's a great all-purpose cleaner. It handles all kinds of surfaces and materials. However, for floor mats, if they're even like medium level dirty, it doesn't do a very good job of breaking that dirt down, especially if they're in the grooves or the channels of the floor mats, even if you use a reasonably stiff bristle brush. So instead, I'm using some Meguiar's D101 all-purpose cleaner, also diluted 4:1. So yeah, this should do a better job. So we got everything all set up here. The mats are all dry and ready to go, but I wanted to talk through a couple of things real quick before we get to the application, right? So first off, this stuff is, it's a very watery product. In fact, it looks and smells just like rubbing alcohol, IPA. So when it comes to how you're going to apply this, I don't know that it would be really that good to physically pour on a brush or a towel or something like that right out of the bottle, because again, it is very runny. So I have a Koch-Chemie spray nozzle here specifically for these bottles, but really any spray nozzle that fits this style bottle will work. In terms of what we're going to use to apply this, I got two different options here. One are these chemical guys, just like hex foam applicator pads, sort of like a generic all-purpose foam applicator. I actually bought these for the interior to try out. And the other thing is this Detail Factory small detail brush. I have a bunch of these things. I love these things. Obviously, this one is unused, so another good candidate. I probably would use actually something like this. So this is the Detail Factory ball brush, another brush that I really love. This is a great interior brush, but I use this to apply the hyperdressing to my wheels. And this thing has only ever seen hyperdressing, so I don't want to cross-contaminate it, especially with an alcohol-based product like the Gummifix. Depending on how this goes, I might get a second one of these for that, but I feel like either one of these might work. So we're gonna pick two mats, we'll try two different applicators, see which one's easier, and then more importantly, see how well this stuff works. So you guys are a little bit far away, so I got the phone here. So let me get a little up close video for you. Nothing really special. All weather floor mats, super dull. Kind of see some of the wear on them, like this, not scratches, but kind of scratches, I guess. So all right, let's start with this guy here, and I'm gonna start with the Detail Factory brush because I really love these things. All right, so I'm gonna spray, I'm gonna do like half the mat, put a little on my brush, and then work this stuff in. By the way, you probably could use a microfiber towel to do this, but I don't think the microfiber is gonna do a real good job. It might be difficult to get into the grooves of these mats because they're pretty stiff. So yeah, for an even application, I don't know, maybe depending on the towel that you have, but I think something like a brush like this would probably be better. So let's see. Now apparently, once you work this stuff in, you just let it dry. You don't have to really do anything else. You can see it flashes off fairly quickly. All right, I think that's good enough. So let that dry for a second. That's a strong scent, by the way. Again, smells exactly like rubbing alcohol. Okay, so initial impressions on applying this stuff. It's, you definitely don't want to do large sections at a time, especially on the bigger mats. Maybe just do like a quadrant or so, or just break it up into sections, because this stuff does flash off pretty quickly. And so if you try to spray a large area, it doesn't feel like you're getting everywhere before it starts drying and you need to apply some more. So yeah, definitely let this stuff do a small area at a time. I think that's my initial sort of impression of this. Now let's do the same size mat and use the foam applicator, see how that goes. Actually, before we do that, let's compare these two. Not 100% of the way dry, so you can still see a little bit of sort of splotchiness or whatever right here, because it's not all the way there yet, but so far, I'm liking the results. Now, you probably could speed this up, take like a microfiber towel and wipe it down and everything like that, especially the excess. You can still see it's a little bit wet in the corner here and everything. However, the instructions say just to apply it and let it dry. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I don't necessarily always follow instructions, but for a first time use like this, I figure why not? So I'll let this dry completely, but so far, I am kind of liking those results. All right, well, while that's finished drying, let's try the foam applicator on the other mat. And again, I'm just gonna do little sections at a time because this stuff dries pretty quickly. Okay, so foam applicator on the pad. Honestly, I didn't love it as much. I feel like it took a little bit more effort to go in between the grooves of the floor mat than it did with the brush. I felt like I was constantly trying to edge, like to get that foam edge into the grooves and everything, whereas the Detail Factory brush was a little bit more fluid, right? And I felt like this one just took a little bit more effort. However, I will say that it does feel like it spread a little bit more easily with the foam applicator on the face of the mat. So I think it might be a little overkill to do the face of the mat with the foam and the grooves with the brush. However, you could if you wanted to. Honestly, if you had either one of these tools, both of them I think are fine for applying this stuff to an all-weather floor mat. This one just felt like it was a little bit more labor intensive, I guess. However, again, the spreading of it seems fine. It's drying fine. But what I'm gonna do while that's still drying, I'm gonna do both of these mats and again, do one with the brush, one with the foam applicator and get a better idea. Working on a larger mat, I would say maybe if you had a cloth-based applicator pad, that might be the best of both worlds to apply this stuff. But again, if you have a regular brush, like this kind of brush or a foam pad, I think you're gonna be fine. So let's finish this up. Do one with the brush, one with the pad again, and sort of come back and do a final review. And so this is what I'm talking about when I say this feels like it's easier to sort of finish off the product on the mat because it just glides over top the face of the mat. So once you've dealt with getting in the grooves and everything, yeah, this kind of spreads it way more evenly and nicely than the brush does, I think. Now that this one's done, let's hit this last one with the brush. All right, well, I gotta say, man, I think I'm going with the brush. If I had to choose between the foam applicator and the brush, I like the brush better. With the applicator, I feel like I'm scrubbing, but with the brush, it's more fluid. I think it does a better job of getting the product in between the grooves of the mat and everything like that. So push comes to shove, I'm picking the brush, but honestly, either one of these tools, you could easily apply this product and probably a number of other tools too. But in any case, I'm gonna let all this stuff dry, open up the doors, let it dry, and then we'll come back and see what this looks like when it is completely finished. All right, guys, well, this video took a slightly different turn than I expected. So I originally filmed a whole sort of outro to this, some final thoughts and opinions on the product and the application process. But then I realized that I never actually put the mats back in the car and tested them to see if they were really non-slick, because that was like the whole point of the video anyway, was to find a non-slippery, all-weather floor mat dressing. So I got the mats back in the car, had to run some errands. Technically, it's the next day, same outfit for continuity. But the mats are slippery. Like, these mats are crazy slippery. I think they're about as slick, if not slicker, than the hyper dressing. Now, there is a slight difference, though, in the type of slickness. Like the hyper dressing, it's kind of an oily product. You can tell that immediately. It almost felt like the oiliness would stick to your shoes. The Gummifix is slippery, but without feeling like oiliness. I don't know if that makes sense, but imagine that, like, the slickness that you get on your paint when you polish your car. That's what these felt like, but it doesn't matter. Any level of slickness on your all-weather mats is not ideal, right? So I started thinking, like, maybe I over-applied it. Maybe I did something wrong. This is my first time using it. You know, there are some products that you can over-apply. They sometimes say that on the bottle. Gummifix doesn't, but that doesn't mean that it can't be over-applied. Now, here's where I'm gonna go on a little side tangent. Stay with me, we'll come back to the point. Okay, generally, when I make videos on a topic, I try not to go watch other people's videos on the same topic. I don't want to be influenced by opinions or even the structure of the video. So, like the Gummifix stuff, for example, somebody recommended it, I read a couple of quick reviews, bought a bottle, and then it was right to the filming and the testing. But now that I have the mats in the car, and now that I see that they are slippery, I was like, I know a bunch of other people have made videos on this. Let me go see what's doing. So I went to one of my go-to favorites, Pan the Organizer, love that guy. He did a video on this less than a year ago and said that for his WeatherTech mats, he didn't find them to be slick at all. So then that got me thinking, well, like, maybe it has to do with the composition of the floor mat. Again, these are OEM BMW floor mats. If the previous owner of this car had optioned this with all-weather mats, this is what he would have gotten. So I thought, like, well, maybe there's a difference between these and the WeatherTech floor mats. But then again, it shouldn't matter. Even if it's a different composition of plastic to rubber, the product specifically says it is meant for plastic and rubber and non-slip. So this again brings me back to maybe I over-applied it. Well, fortunately, I have another F80 with the exact same floor mats that have never been treated. So I got them out, cleaned them up. They've never been dressed with anything. So I cleaned them up the exact same way. And I ran two different tests. On one, I applied Gummifix, but much less of it. And I used the foam applicator so that it can't hold a whole lot of liquid. So we did one side with lightweight Gummifix, and the other side, I wanted to try CarPro Pearl. It's a phenomenal, from everything I've seen and read, it's a phenomenal dressing. You can use it on anything, rubber, plastic, vinyl, tires, trim. It comes concentrated, so you can dilute it to any ratio. It has suggested dilution ratios on the side of the bottle. I went with a 1:5, and I applied it the same way that I did with the Gummifix. So kind of a lightweight dressing, foam applicator on both sides. I let that dry, put them back in the car, and you know what? They're both as slick. Found zero difference. The CarPro Pearl has more of a consistency like hyper dressing, so I really didn't have high hopes for it, and it doesn't make any claim to be non-slick, but I wanted to try it anyway. Yeah, so both sides of the floor mats are just as slippery, I think, as how I treated these. So I don't know, it's back to the drawing board with that. I love Koch-Chemie products, but in terms of an all-weather floor mat dressing that is non-slippery, this one was kind of a miss for me. So anyway, that's all I got for this one. Let me know what you think. If you have something that you use that you really like, feel free to comment below. Let me know what you think of the video, of this style of product review and testing and so on and so forth. But anyway, hope you did get something out of the video. So give it a like if you did, subscribe if you have not already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. All right, so got everything all set up. Mats are all dry. A loud ass truck. Yeah, we're gonna close these doors, bruh. This